What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Nothing But Skills, and I'm excited because they just announced a new huge update, and we got a lot of information today during the Treyarch live stream, and we'll get into that in just a second. This update is going to affect not only Blackout but multiplayer and zombies, but since this channel mainly focuses on Blackout content, I will just be focusing on the Blackout update coming tomorrow on PlayStation. It comes 1 week ahead on PlayStation over Xbox and PC. Now, there's a lot of things that are going to be dropping, so we have a lot to talk about. So before we break down this update, make sure you guys smash a thumbs up if you found this useful. Let me know what you guys think about this update in the comment section. And if you guys are new to my channel, first time watching the video, hit that subscribe button and turn the notification bell on so when I release a video, you guys get notified. So the big things coming to Blackout are going to be the new Specialist Outrider, which will be for multiplayer and Blackout. And there's going to be a new prestige system, new locations, new characters, hot pursuit mode, and new vehicles. And then we're also going to get in season, we're going to get the spring map update, a hardcore mode, new equipment, this new event called Reacted, which they haven't gave too much information on, and then additional new modes coming soon. Also, there will be a cosmetic silverback skin, which looks amazing. So the first thing that they actually dove into was Prestige. So let's listen to what they had to say about that.
Here we go. So let's talk about the Prestige system, which is really more than just the Prestige system. So let's talk about what all encompasses all the changes that got made to the merit system in general. So first up, you are going to be able to Prestige in Blackout. There is a healthy dose of the population that's sitting at 80 star, wondering what to do next.
Yeah.
That's coming. And then there's a lot of folks who are not there. So there's a big chasm and gap between the folks sitting at the top and the folks not. So for the folks sitting at the top, you're going to be able to Prestige. It's the 10 levels of Prestige, but it's also more than that because the Paragon levels make their way into Blackout. So you're going to be able to play forever. On top of that, though, let's talk about the folks that are not quite there yet. The guys sitting at 35 and 45 and feeling like it's hard to advance. So this was a design decision that we made pretty early on to only reward kills and placements at the high end because that's the core of that mode. But we're loosening that up so that there'll be more placements kind of below that. So for example, in quads it's pretty much the same. The top 50% of the players will be able to advance, but solo players and duo players gets lots of love right now because those players, 50% of them will now also be able to advance, get merits for placement. So we sort of push the placements down further. That covers the two things. Maybe even more importantly than that, which is a little harder to understand, sort of if you just look at it, is the Blackout merit system has everything multiplied by 10. And what that lets us do is create more merits to give out in more situations to more people more of the time. If you only give out one merit for something, it's hard to give out a half a merit for something. So 1 becomes 10 and 100 becomes 1,000, right? And that kind of system change allows us to do other things, especially in other kinds of game modes where we can give away more merits for different types of activities related to that featured playlist. So those are the three major changes going on there in the nutshell version.
So I think that's pretty cool. They're giving us something to finally grind for. I've been sitting at 80 star for a really long time, and I just haven't had any energy to get on to grind for since I'm already there. But if they can give us something to grind for, just like on the multiplayer side, I think this is a bonus not only for casual players, but even those hardcore guys who want to grind and grind and grind. So the next thing they dove into was the new game mode, Hot Pursuit, which sounds like a lot of fun. Listen to what they had to say.
So it's a super fun game mode. With our past game modes, Close Quarters Frenzy, Ambush has been a variant. It's still very slow. The gameplay is still there from Blackout, but with this we kind of want to say, we said, how can we have more fun? How can we fit the theme of this cops and robbers Operation Grand Heist? So we've been working on brand new vehicles. And they're going to be highlighted in Hot Pursuit. First up are the police vehicles. We've got the police SUV, we've got the PBR boat, and then we've got some other vehicles that the players already used, and those are going to have police skins in Hot Pursuit. And when you hop into a police vehicle, whether it be an SUV or an ATV or PBR, you're going to have some inherent benefits that are going to feed into that game mode. So police vehicles, first up, they're going to have a built-in sensor dart. That's one of those things where from the early days of Blackout, we saw players shooting their vehicle with a sensor dart. So let's build that in for this game mode. It makes perfect sense. So when you're cruising around in a police vehicle with your sirens on, you're going to get the benefit of a sensor dart. So you're going to be able to move through and kind of root out the bad guys. On top of that,
that great penalty. I mean, the siren's not exactly quiet.
The sirens are not quiet. So if you want,
that's fun.
That's what we call risk reward, John. So in addition to that, the police vehicles will also see enemy muscle cars marked. So that marking is going to be a red beam shooting up from the sky, which is super cool. You hop into a police vehicle and you just look around and you're going to see all these bad guys marked by the beams. You want to go chase those guys. The muscle cars also have inherent benefits, and their benefit is they're going to be on the lookout for loot, high value loot. And so their benefit is they're going to get the same marking, but a green beam, and that's going to mark every single supply drop and supply stash that's currently active in the level. And we've taken a lot of the high value loot, level 3 armor, trauma kit, tactical weapons, operator weapons, gold weapons, and those are only going to be found in supply drops and stashes. So if you want that good stuff, you're going to want to grab a muscle car, head to the nearest supply drop or stash, and get that out of there. In playtesting, the fun, the laughs, the chuckles that we've heard most is when you're chasing each other around. So the police vehicles are on the hot pursuit of the muscle cars, who are then looking for the loot. We're kind of working off a variation of down but not out respawn rules. So if you have a teammate alive at the next collapse, you're going to be able to redeploy. With this, we kind of looked at that, and we saw it can be tough to drop into the last circle with a strife pistol. So we're going to try what we're calling escalating loadouts, and those loadouts will escalate per circle or per collapse. So you may start out with a strife and some ammo,
sure.
And if you get the chance to drop in the final collapse, you may get a little bit better of a loadout. So that's going to be where you're going to end up dropping in with an SMG, maybe some armor, just because we know it can be more difficult in those final minutes to really compete with enemies that are on the ground. So it's super interesting, super fun, and we've been having a blast with it.
And throws the rules of a Blackout kind of experience and turns them inside out, where you're getting more stronger the longer you go. It's
fun.
It's fun.
Well, I mean,
good diversion from the core.
Just riff on that for a minute, because it seems like, and you mentioned down but not out, and it seems like between what the team has been doing in Operation 2, what's planned with Hot Pursuit, seems like new game modes are an opportunity to kind of play in new and inventive ways.
Yeah, I think what you'll see, sort of operation to operation, every operation has kind of a core theme to it. This one, Operation Grand Heist, you have cops and robbers, so you see a lot of cops and robbers related activity across MP and Blackout. So that one has this mode. Other future operations will also have its core theme or core idea, so it'll have its kind of crazy new take on a game mode. Yep. But it's not just the one that you get kind of the first couple days of the operation. There's some other activities around there, hardcore, and some other thoughts that were going on. So we're going to keep the pure game mode evolving, right? The pure base, battle royale experience that people know. But we're also going to constantly try to put the feature playlist in, including the feature playlist that you've seen. So it's not just about Grand Heist. It'll also be about Down But Not Out. It'll also be about Ambush. It'll also be about all the things that you sort of create along the way and the combinations of them. So as we build up this library, like Matt said, we actually get to take some of the rules from one and apply them to the other, and then everything kind of just gets faster and better as a result of the continued involvement and progress that we're making, to allow different types of game modes to be played inside of the Blackout map.
So that was really interesting what they had to say about the modes in general, that they're using one mode for another mode and they're adapting, they're taking the good from one mode and they're going to bring it to other modes, and that's how they come up with their game modes. And I think Hot Pursuit's probably going to be a really cool mode, and I can't wait to see what other game modes they have for the future for us. The next thing they jumped into was the quality of life, and then they focused on how you equip items. And check this out. This was probably the most interesting thing that I took away from this whole live stream.
So there's a couple of things that are going to make it in right off the bat, and more still in the way. So the three that are probably worth kind of mentioning right off the bat is, if you remember the new the stash UI, what we call the supply stash or the death stash UI, when there's an item in the stash, it only shows up once. It doesn't show up like a frag, a frag, a frag. It shows a frag with 3 pips on it. So that idea has been carried over to the quick equip menu. So when you're pressing up on the D-pad to kind of select something quickly, you don't have to burn the space of it 3 times. You only have to burn the space of it once. That just makes everything a little bit faster. Mm-hmm. So that idea has now evolved into the quick equip working the same way. That's one. The one that I think fans will be super excited about is, when you go to get a gun, you can strip the attachments off that gun immediately and then put them on the gun that you have. So that's a big change. So if you got a tactical, for example, on the ground, which of us does not strip the tactical to put all that stuff on the gun that we're using? We pretty much all do that. So now you can just do that. And you can do that with any gun. Anything that's not compatible will just kind of drop to the ground around you. So that's a big change. Nice. And then the other one that I like is you can actually now equip something when you pick it up immediately for both equipment and for health items. So if there's a big med kit on the ground of some type, or maybe an axe, you can just grab it and it's in your inventory, so you can throw it and grab it and throw it and grab it, right? You don't have to grab it, go into inventory, go up to quick equipped, all that's now one action. So those three things are the sort of the significant ones that players will be able to feel kind of right away on Tuesday, and then some more that we're still experimenting with in the quick equip for potentially downstream in the season.
Now, what he just said about how you equip items, how you equip attachments, and how you don't have to drop the item, remove all the attachments, put them on your new item is really good. Now, when you pick up the item, you can just strip it. It will automatically put all the compatible attachments on your weapon, and you can go right back into the fight, speeding up the movement of the game and causing you less likely to get shot in the back while you're removing those attachments and reattaching. The next thing they dive into is the balancing of the game. They talk about the ABR, they talk about level 3 armor, level 2 armor, level 1 armor, and they go into even the LMGs and how they're going to do more damage to vehicles. Listen to what they had to say.
We've got a big list of tuning updates, weapon balance changes based off of data, based off of feedback. One that I'll mention that's come up a lot in feedback is the ABR. ABR is a great weapon in Blackout. We definitely saw its popularity rise a bit with our previous armor tuning. So that one's going to get a little bit of a change. I believe on that one we've increased the recoil just a touch. And we've increased the delay between bursts just a touch again. So we don't want to swing too hard. I think we did that with the SDM. Sometimes we can look at the data and you get a lot of feedback and kind of overshoot that. So we've made some micro changes, taken a look at the data, and I think everybody's gonna. It's not. I wouldn't say a huge meta shift, but some of those weapons that you have been carrying, you may want to look at something else. For example, light machine guns. That's a big change for us. It is a small change.
But why? It's important to know why, right?
So you kind of look at that journey. So over the past 2 weeks, we've got a lot of feedback about everybody's driving ATVs, running people over. We don't want that to happen. Vehicles are for traversing the map. We don't want them to be primarily used as offensive weapons.
What if that's all I have? That's all I got going for you, man.
No, you can still try.
Then you should play Hot Pursuit. No, but that said, it's still a part of Blackout. Yeah. You can still get ran over.
So what are you doing with the LMGs?
So with LMGs, we were like, you know what? We don't want these to be laser weapons. We don't want everybody to be rolling around with LMGs. What can we do with them to give them a unique benefit? So they're actually going to do double damage against vehicles. For example, a Titan in Blackout may take today 40 bullets to take out an ATV or a helicopter. It's going to come down to 20. So those VKM 750s and those Titans that you leave laying around, you may want to pick up one of those and keep it handy.
You want to. I mean, the meta changes over time, right? So we think it's so important that there are fast-moving vehicles in the map. That's what the ATV is for. The ATV is not necessarily supposed to be used predominantly as a weapon. And it was really Ambush, I think, where we started to sort of see that kind of behavior come out. It's not unexpected in a mode like that, but then that becomes sort of the part of the new meta. And that's the fun thing about working on Blackout is the meta is changing all the time. What was super viable yesterday was not viable 10 days ago and vice versa and in the future. So you have to constantly evolve with the times with that stuff. So now there's multiple counters to vehicles, and the weapon tuning is kind of an unusual place to go look. But now an LMG, which most of us would probably pass over most of the time if you look at the data, if you look at how we play, if you look at how you play. But now you hold an LMG as a secondary, and it's on par or better than a rocket launcher as a secondary, on par or better than a ballistic shield as a primary equipment, on par or better than mesh mines as an anti-vehicle device. Now there's like 4 different ways, alternative, and the LMGs are good because once you start using LMGs to blow up vehicles, you're going to start using LMGs to blow up people. And then this weapon that you're all skipping over most of the time, you're probably not skipping over it quite the same. And that's today. Then there'll be something else, in the next season as the meta evolves and changes. And that's what makes it fun. Makes it complicated to keep up with the pace of it, for sure. Make no mistake, we know this better than anybody, but we're not done trying, and this is one way. Yep. Just removing the ATVs is not a solution. Their start speeds, potentially other things that we've looked at, including fuel, potentially. I'm not saying so. I'm not sure that's the right thing to do quite yet. But we talk about these things all the time. We're listening to what you're saying about that. We're looking for interesting ways to solve those problems, not just the really obvious way, which is to delete everything, right? Delete everything, you have nothing left.
Yep. And then additionally for LMGs, since we're on that topic, they're all going to have a little bit less recoil. So they'll be slightly less frustrating to use against infantry. I think I'll be picking up a Titan over.
T-minus 1 day until you tell me they're overpowered. 1 day.
Yeah.
1 day.
We'll fix it. We'll fix it.
You guys are like the best guests ever. Like, I mean, wind you up, let you go.
Tell me when to stop.
This is
Do it.
Warzone.
No.
I did that for the tweet earlier. All right, let's move on.
All right.
I got one more on
What?
tuning. One more on tuning, because it's a big one, and I'm sure we'll get a lot of feedback. Hopefully, all positive.
Armor.
Hopefully.
Armor.
Undoubtedly.
We gotta talk about armor.
We've touched armor a few times. Armor's a new thing for us. Levels of armor, Blackout's a new thing for us. So we're still trying to dial that in.
What would you do, Matt?
Well, for this title update, we took a look at the data from where we were before our last tuning change to our oh my God, level 1 is paper now. I hear you.
Level 1 is paper.
And you know what? Level 1, looking at the data, the curves of our graph of where people were dying previous to the patch to after, you weren't entirely wrong. So we are going to bring up level 1 and level 2. So level 1's going to get a slight bump. Level 2 is actually going to come up to where level 3 is now, as far as damage mitigation.
Damage mitigation, not durability. Don't confuse the two.
Right. So we flattened.
So many people tweeting me.
We flattened
right
the
now.
armor levels.
Thank you.
But now level 3 still has the inherent mitigation of headshot damage. We've also brought back the armor plates to repair for level 3 armor back down to 5. Now that those are all a little bit more aligned.
Talk about the shot differential though, because in the abstract it can seem like they're super delta and they're not.
Yeah, sure.
Delta.
Before we made our tuning changes, I believe it was 5 shots with an ICR against an unarmored enemy, still the same, and then it kind of went up from 6 to 8 to 10. So we're slowly flattening that down a bit, and when you just look at that on paper, it doesn't seem like a huge change. But depending on the range and if you're using a very low-powered SMG, it can, those hits to kill can jump a bit. So we're just trying to dial those in, and I think this pass we've all been super happy with internally. So I'm looking forward to getting the feedback on that, like I inevitably will.
So for them to talk about that they are listening to the community with balancing of weapons, armor, I find that as a plus, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for Blackout. The next thing, they finally showed us the new map. They showed us everything they added to Blackout. So I'm gonna let you guys watch this part.
So what you guys are staring at in real time is Ghost Town. And Ghost Town is the primary new destination that we've been talking about. And Ghost Town is the combination of Standoff or Outlaw, depending on which version you like more from which game, added to the Blackout map. So let me just show you where this is kind of in context. So I'm down here, right down here in the southeast corner of the map. Is that right? Yeah. So a significant new destination. And so just give you a sense of scale here. If you ever played Buried from Zombies, then you kind of know what you're staring at here. So the mansion on this side and then all the town. Let me drop to the ground real quick and try to run around a little bit just quickly, then I'll fly back out and show you some other things. All this stuff is playable. So all this kind of interior space has all the loot that you'd expect of kind of a primary destination, has all the kinds of tricks and traps and backsides and flow-throughs and all the things that you would know. And this is all covered up, so you're not gonna have anybody dropping on you. The downside of it being underground is that you can't actually just sort of escape through the top. There's no clear way to get back through there. So you're gonna have to use one of the many ways to get out, which means the chokes, when you're trying to get in and out of a destination like this, can be pretty severe. There's only sort of 3 primary ways in and out, which means your entrances are not the same things as your exits, and you cannot just sort of surface jump from the top of something and make a run for it in any sort of direction. So this is kind of what, whoops, oh, good. Cannot get the dev GUI there. Help me
You
out.
need some help?
Yeah, I need some help
I
with that.
got you.
Yeah, thank you. I
There
don't
you
know
go.
why the no clip's not working. Amateur hour up in here. So you got Outlaw, you got Standoff on this side of the map, and then the way down into the buried section of Ghost Town is through the jail cell of Outlaw. So you're gonna have a lot of fun. This one is particularly my favorite. It's like a one-way kind of slide down this mine shaft, which can be pretty entertaining and choky. So this is a significant destination add. Just to put this in perspective, if you look at the playable space and the amount of interior room and the number of places that things can go, you're talking construction site level spawning of items here. So this will be a pretty fun and pretty insane destination that provides a particularly new experience into the Blackout map. Now, just before we stop on that, there's another thing to talk about. This is not the only thing that we did. So I'm gonna show you 3 examples of stuff. So there's things that we've done inside the Blackout map, which we would call completely new. So there's this entire kind of camp section behind where the dam is and where the offices are. So if you look at where I am in the map up here, there's Hydro. This is a very popular drop for myself and Davey in the Bridge Ambush community. Shout out, boys. I'll see you tonight. You got this thing right here, which is where this is. So now you've got pressure on Hydro, not just from the guys who dropped short on offices or the guys coming up from Asylum, but also this whole thing, which is now pretty viable. It's like a decent, viably suitable place to drop. If you're going to be less looted, but then you're going to put pressure on the guys to come in. So that's what we call new, and there's more than one of those. The other one is down here. This is another example of something inside the map that's completely new. But that's not sort of the totality of that story either. Let me go over, find my way here. This is what doing it live looks like, guys. I'm going to come over here and drop what we would probably call, or what you would call, apartments or condos. You remember this section of the map here is typically has been 6 buildings, what we called the 6-pack, or actually that was a term I think you guys picked up, 6-pack, and then we now have it as an 8-pack. So now this is even more viable as a potential first drop, even in a quad game. So you get some pretty fun activity, sort of guys fighting across the street from one another or house to house. Now there's 8 buildings. So again, you're not going to walk out of here completely looted up with the quad game, but you're definitely walking out of here in a duo game and a solo game super looted up. So that's what we would call expanded. So you have new, which are destinations which didn't exist, sort of secondary and supporting structures, and you have these, which are expanded, and there's lots of these. I want to show you one more because firing range fans will be thrilled to death or very, 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 very unhappy with me. So here's another one that's gotten expanded. Look how close this is to firing range. So if you get drop firing range and you cleared it all out and you think you're done, maybe, maybe not, because you're going to have this destination, which has been expanded, putting pressure on you coming down from the hill here. And this is an absolutely tough fight. It's tough enough as it is. I mean, now it's even tougher still. So we like these kind of destinations which are close to, they're not as large as or significant as, but they're also adjacent to, and that puts interesting pressure on players. One last one to talk about, sort of, and that's, more macro than that. What you'll see along the way is kind of different and more supporting things, sort of running along your typical paths that are just sort of expanded. I think this one by the riverbank here. Let's see, where am I?
Yeah, some of those the support structure additions we've added are my favorite for my playstyle because I don't like to drop hot. It stresses me out. So with these new support structures and my leisurely jaunt from place to place, destination to destination, I have more places to kind of explore and look at. What's that? What is that?
What's that? What is this?
That's a. That's a dope muscle.
It's time to wager on, to wager. Oh no.
So as you're driving around, some of these areas that you're pointing out, like these are things that have been sort of coming into existence. It's not like they just kind of popped out of nowhere, right?
Oh my gosh, we started seeding out the survey stakes as an example.
Yeah.
Where these things might be going, and with the high degree of wait.
What is that, David?
What's that? What's that?
That's the 5-0.
Whoa! No, you didn't, Matt.
There you go.
You
can
didn't.
See, you get a little look at the built-in sensor dart there. No enemies,
my God.
just a one man.
Oh my God, what have you done?
No, you can turn those off.
What have you done? What have you done?
You can turn those off. You lose the sensor dart functionality.
Why would you turn them off?
Well, if you want to be a little bit stealthier, if you want to go for more of a cold.
So that's actually really impressive of everything they've added. The map looks good. I like Ghost Town. I like the new equipment items they're bringing, the new vehicles. Everything they have planned for this, from the prestige system to new locations, new character, hot pursuit mode, hardcore mode, a new event called Reacted that we don't know too much about. The spring map is updated. Blackout's in a good place right now, and I think this was the update that they needed. And with Apex coming on so strong as a free-to-play battle royale and so many people actually enjoying it, Blackout needed to come out with something that brought people back to the game, and I think this update will do that. And they also said they want to start bringing out updates once a week and keep dropping content to keep you involved, keep you wanting to play. And with the whole prestige system, it gives people something to grind for. So I think we'll see the Blackout community start to grow again and a lot of the players start to come back. And that's where we're going to wrap up this video, guys. I just want to say thank you guys again for all the support. Until the next Blackout video, nothing but skills out.